What's up, leaders? This is the fourth video for well-defined leaders. So we're going to be looking at the fourth principle today for what makes good, well, secure, defined leaders. So here's the principle, and then we'll unpack it. Is well-defined leaders help others become well-defined. So I'll repeat it. Well-defined leaders help other people become well-defined themselves. I'm going to kind of explain it, and I'll give a little bit of an illustration here. In the red is that people who are well-defined, people who are secure, they force other people to grow. And right with the second one is they force others to take personal responsibility for their own lives. People who are well-defined do not take on the responsibilities of other people, but they themselves take on what they are responsible for and force other people to do what they are responsible for. They're well-defined. People who are well-defined, they don't need complete agreement. And so what I mean by that is, in a group setting, they don't need a complete consensus or everyone to be on board before they move onward. A lot of people who are insecure think that they need complete uniformity, that they need complete agreement before that they can move on. But well-defined people are forcing other people in the group to become well-defined. The leader takes a stance in a position. It doesn't mean that the leader is always right in his or her decision, but it means that they're not looking for complete agreement to go ahead and do something that they think needs to be done. And it's forcing other people who are usually less mature to take their position. They're either going to be on board and jump in, or they're gonna be out. And you know, it's interesting that you see Jesus again do this, live out this principle. Think about the example with the parable of the rich young ruler in Mark 10. When the young man, if you recall the story, I won't explain it all, but when he leaves his interaction with Jesus, he leaves disappointed, which is really interesting to think about, that Jesus is interacting with people and not fixing all their problems and not doing for them what you would think that Jesus could easily do for them. He's forcing the rich young ruler to lay aside his idol of money, and when confronted about it, the rich young ruler leaves disappointed. He doesn't change, or at least we're not told that he ever does change in the Bible. So it's just interesting to see that Jesus is really well defined in what it takes, the cost of following him is, and he doesn't reduce his mission and purpose and standards down for the interactions he has with other people. I'm going to share with you guys this example. I think this is going to help clarify this principle even more. So again, imagine that this is you, and let's say here is your friend that you have led to Christ their freshman year, and so now it's their sophomore year, and this person is becoming, you're trying to establish them in their faith more and mature them in their relationship with Christ. And let's say that this person has a terrible time getting up on time. Okay, so they sleep in constantly, they're late to a lot of things, they miss church, they're struggling to get to class. You get the point. So they have this problem, and naturally, as you are their discipler, you want to help them. That's a good desire. And so you begin to help them and give them tools and discuss different things like punctuality and making a schedule and how God cares about how you use their time. You do things like that. But then let's say that you've done that and the problem still exists. It's not getting better. So it's here that the leader that the leader often does what they should not do. And what they do is that they don't remain well defined. They begin to think that they begin to help them too much. And so what I mean by that is that the poorly defined leader will begin to do for this person what this person should be doing, what the person you led to Christ should be doing. They make the schedule for them, or you make the schedule for them. Yeah, you go into their room and you wake them up. you call them 5 times before church and make sure that they're down there, and then you force everyone in your car to be late to church every Sunday because you're waiting on them. I think you kind of get what I'm saying, is you're accommodating. Again, this is going back to the principle from several weeks ago, is you're accommodating to immaturity. And so if you kind of look at the spectrum of your friend, there is a sense where when you do too much, you do get him up, right? So maybe you do call him 5 times and he does end up coming to church. The Bible study that he would have missed, you get him to because you went over early and you made sure he was doing this and he was up. And so it's not that you helping him doesn't actually get him to the places he needs to go. It often does. But the real problem is this, is that you're never forcing or allowing the person to grow themselves. You're acting, I have written here, you act like a savior for them, but it's really a mistake. And what you're doing is only perpetuating the problem. You're not really helping him or her become personally responsible for getting themselves up on time. And so what the well-defined leader does is they say, look, I do have a responsibility to help them, and you attempt to help them. And when those attempts have gone unused by this person, there's a point when you need to remain present with them, but you just say, look, I'm not going to continue to do for you what you won't do for yourself. And this person is now forced to make a decision. They either just don't get up, so they do end up missing church, they do end up missing the Bible study, or they realize Stefan isn't going to wake me up every time. He's not going to call my phone. He's not. And you know what? I actually need to take this seriously, and I am going to get up. So you're forced, the well-defined leaders are forcing others to become well-defined. So I hope that example makes sense, and you can work through other examples on your workshop. But this is principle number 4. For well-defined leaders, help those around them